Want to speak real Chinese from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at ChineseClass101.com.
In this series, you'll master Chinese pronunciation. Proper pronunciation is essential in Chinese, and in this series, you'll learn it in a fast, comprehensive, and easy way. In the first lesson of the series, you'll learn about the building blocks of the Chinese pronunciation system that will help you in future lessons. As you're probably quite aware, Chinese doesn't use an alphabetical writing system like English does. Instead, it uses characters that are comprised of parts which depict physical objects or abstract ideas. Literacy in Chinese requires the memorization of thousands of components and characters. As you can see, this can be quite daunting for new learners of Chinese. For example, if you were asked to pronounce this character, where would you even begin? You'll pick up the writing system eventually, but since we're just focused on pronunciation, we need to skip that for now. We need to start dealing with the sounds of Chinese without the baggage of Chinese characters, and that's where Pinyin comes in. Pinyin is the transcription of Chinese characters using Roman letters. This makes learning Chinese much easier, particularly for English speakers. As you begin to learn more characters and improve in Chinese, you'll eventually rely on Pinyin less and less, but for now, it's a good place to start. Now, let's have a look at all the sounds in Chinese. There are 26 consonant sounds and 14 vowel sounds in Chinese. You can form every single word in Chinese by using these sounds. Still seem complicated? Well, how about this? Of the 26 consonant sounds in Chinese, you already know 15 of them. That's right. If you're a native English speaker, then you already make these sounds every day. You can also ignore 7 of the vowel sounds for the same reason. The only thing standing between you and perfect Chinese pronunciation are 11 new consonant and 7 new vowel sounds. You can handle that. Now let me introduce Yinru, who will be helping you to master these new sounds.
你好，我是殷如。
Throughout this series, Yinru will be giving you native pronunciation examples for you to imitate. But for this first lesson, just sit back and listen to the unique sounds of Chinese.
哪儿、小、食、肉、北京、钱、早餐、葱、中文、长、玉、他、累、月、冷、日、楼、绿。
In the next lesson, we'll look at the top 5 pronunciation mistakes Chinese learners make. You'll want to make sure not to fall into these common traps. After that, we'll begin going through the vowels and consonants of Chinese. This is your chance to learn how to correctly say all of the words you just heard. We'll finish up the series by covering some special topics that will really make your Chinese sound natural. To close this lesson, here's a question for you. Why is it important to spend time on learning proper pronunciation, even if you're already an advanced speaker? The answer? You will be understood, and this will help you build more confidence as you communicate in Chinese. For beginners, you're creating a strong foundation to build on. And for more advanced students, this is your chance to improve your accent and lose any bad habits you may have picked up. In this lesson, you'll learn the top 5 Chinese pronunciation mistakes to avoid. These are common mistakes that students of Chinese tend to make. So pay close attention and make sure that you don't make these same mistakes too. Are you ready? Then let's get started. Number 1, tones. Chinese is a tonal language. The tones are a major challenge for Chinese learners of all levels, but they can't be avoided. Using the wrong tone can give a word a completely different meaning and lead to miscommunication.
妈、妈、麻、马、嘛。
In particular, learners have a hard time with the third tone. Listen to an example which uses this tone.
你、
It's the most unique tone out of all the tones because the pitch dips and then rises.
你、
Imagine a ball bouncing on the ground as you make this tone. Down and up. We'll discuss the tones in detail in lessons 8 and 9. Number 2, mispronouncing the U sound. English speakers tend to read the Pinyin U like the in good. This is incorrect. It should be more like the double O sound in the word boot.
乌、乌。
Whenever you're pronouncing the Chinese U, imagine a little girl pouting and saying no in Chinese.
不、
You want to round your lips as much as possible. It's better to over-exaggerate than to make the wrong sound. Number 3, pronouncing people incorrectly. Many people tend to mispronounce the E sound in the word people. They commonly substitute it for the English E, as in red. This is incorrect. The Chinese E sounds more like an sound.
人
It's identical to the E sound at the end of the word problem. In fact, the Chinese E is a very special sound because it's the most neutral of all sounds. It requires the least amount of effort to pronounce because you don't have to move your lips, tongue, or mouth. All you need to do is relax and have everything in a resting position and just let your vocal cords do the rest.
人
We'll take an in-depth look at the vowel sounds in the next lesson. Number 4, pronouncing the Chinese Q as a ch sound. This is one of the biggest mistakes for students of Chinese. There are many ch-like sounds in Chinese, all of which are distinct. The challenge for English speakers is to first perceive the difference and then to recreate it. The Chinese Q sound should be pronounced with the tip of the tongue touching the bottom teeth, while the blade of the tongue lays flat behind the front teeth.
钱
We'll break down the differences between the ch sounds of Chinese in Lesson 7. Number 5, adding an R sound to the end of to eat.
吃
Students of Chinese tend to add an R sound in the middle or at the end of a word. This generally occurs when the speaker isn't used to pronouncing the Chinese CH. The Chinese CH requires you to place your tongue in a position that you're unfamiliar with. If you're an English speaker, your brain naturally assumes that you're trying to pronounce an English R due to muscle memory. Watch out for this when you're practicing the Chinese CH. We'll cover ch-like sounds in Lesson 7. Now you know the top 5 Chinese pronunciation mistakes to avoid. Try to be careful so that you don't commit these same mistakes. Still feel a bit worried? Over the rest of this series, we'll cover all of these topics in depth. In this lesson, you'll learn all the Chinese vowels and their variant vowel sounds.
啊 i o u
With these sounds, you can pronounce any vowel that could possibly appear in Chinese. Some vowels may be hard for you to distinguish, especially for English speakers, so make sure you listen carefully. Remember that memorizing and reproducing the sound is the goal. Don't get too frustrated if you forget when to use the variant sounds. That'll come naturally later. Are you ready? Then let's get started. The first vowel is
啊他大茶
This is almost identical to the A sound in the word father, except the tongue is in more of a neutral position. When you say the word father, do you feel a small pressure at the back of your mouth? The idea is to relieve that pressure, keeping everything in the same position. Just move your tongue forward a bit. You can kind of get a feel for this if you over-exaggerate the ah in father by opening your mouth as wide as possible. When you move your tongue forward, you will relieve that pressure, and it should sound a little whinier as a result. Study how Yinru pronounces this sound.
啊啊 啊啊
When paired with the following, the A changes.
少糖
It becomes identical to the A sound in the word father.
啊啊啊啊
When paired with the following, the A changes.
咸短
It becomes identical to the E sound in the word red.
哎哎哎哎
The next vowel is
人热可
It's identical to the E sound at the end of the word problem.
呃
When paired with the following, the E changes.
累
It becomes similar to the A sound in the word play. However, try not to carry over the Y sound too much. Try to relax your jaw and say it as if you're allowing the vowel to spill out from your mouth. Listen to how Yinru pronounces this vowel.
a a a a
When paired with the following, the E changes.
切
When paired like this, it becomes the E sound in red from before.
月
This is identical to the previous sound, but with rounded lips. Try saying the E in red while rounding your lips. Now listen to how Yinru says it.
哎哎哎哎
When paired with the following, the E changes.
扔
It's similar to the O sound in the word boring, but with unrounded lips. You'll find that when you start unrounding your lips, it'll start to change to more of a U sound. Try it. Now listen to how Yinru pronounces it.
啊啊啊啊
The next vowel is
一北京衣服秘密
It's identical to the double E sound in the word see.
一一一一
When paired with the following, the I changes.
日知识紫色
This is similar to the previous sound. It's kind of like the double E sound in the word see, except your tongue is a little bit further back in your mouth in a more centralized position. One trick to pronouncing this vowel is to say the word ye, as in, O ye of little faith. The Y sound should raise your tongue to the correct position in your mouth. Try it. Now listen to how Yinru pronounces this vowel.
一一一一
When paired with the following, the I changes.
爱飞
It's identical to the short I sound in the word bit. The next vowel is
哦我菠菜魔术
It's identical to the OU sound in the word ought.
哦哦哦哦
When paired with the following, the O changes.
红空中国
It's identical to the double O sound in the word hook.
哦哦哦哦
When paired with the following, the O changes.
手欧洲肉
The O becomes a little bit like the O sound in the word O. However, try not to carry over the W sound too much.
哦哦哦哦
And the last vowel is
乌哭书父亲
It's similar to the double O sound in the word boot. However, you want to slightly pout your lips more and exaggerate the rounding. Listen to how Yinru pronounces this vowel.
乌乌乌
When paired with the following, the U changes.
绿、玉、去。
This is like the double E sound in C, but with rounded lips. Try saying the double E in C while rounding your lips. Now listen to how Yinru pronounces this vowel.
吁、吁、吁、吁。
Well done! You've just learned all the vowels and their variant sounds in Chinese. With these sounds, you can properly pronounce any vowel that could possibly appear in the Chinese language. Isn't that great? In this lesson, you'll learn the basics of Chinese pronunciation. We'll give you a brief introduction to the Chinese romanization system, demonstrate a few difficult sounds, and then talk about tones in Chinese pronunciation. Pinyin is a system that represents Mandarin Chinese by using the Roman alphabet. It's now the most common way to Romanize Mandarin Chinese. It's the foundation for Chinese pronunciation. Learning Pinyin will benefit you in many ways. It shows you the proper way to pronounce a word. It also allows you to pronounce a word you've never seen. And if you'd like to type in Chinese on your phone or computer, Pinyin input is the easiest and most popular way.
A complete syllable in Pinyin is usually made of initials, which are consonants, and finals, which are vowels, and lastly a tone mark. Sometimes though, a vowel by itself can make a syllable too.
There are 20 consonant letters in Mandarin or Pinyin, almost all the same consonant letters as in English except for the letter V.
B, P, M, F, D, T, N, L, G, K, H, and so on.
And there are combinations of consonants that are initial sounds as well. But don't worry, there are only 3 of these.
Zh, Sh, Sh.
And then we have vowels. There are 6 single vowels in Mandarin Chinese.
A, O, E, I, U, Yu.
By combining these single vowels with each other, or by combining them with N, NG, or R, we can make many compound vowels, such as
Ya, O, A, Y, An, Yun, Ang, Yan, Wan, Yang.
It may look like a lot to remember. The trick is to memorize the ones that sound different from English or your native language. This will be emphasized in the next part of the lesson, so stick around. Some sounds in Chinese don't sound like their Roman letters. We'll show you how they're pronounced in Chinese. First, let's look at some single vowel sounds.
Sounds like the U in the English but only longer. Remember not to curl your tongue when there is no R around. Ch, H. The only exception is when it comes after Y. Then it sounds more like E, as in red. Yeah. The E sound is like the double E in the English C. I, Xi. When it comes after A, C, Ch, R, S, Sh, or Zh sound, it's more like a short E sound, as in lip. 知识, 40. The U sound is like the French U. Your lips should be round and pouting. 绿, 女. U and U are different sounds, but when U comes after G, Qi, Xi, I, it makes the same sound as U. 橘子, 去, 玉米.
Now let's look at some compound vowel sounds. For all the compound sounds, you just need to make the first single vowel sound and then slide into the next single vowel. For example,
the yue sound. Try to make the yu sound, then slide to e, yue, xue. To make the one sound, combine u with an, suan, yuan quan. Yen sounds like the word yen, the Japanese currency, xian, qian.
Consonants are pretty easy in Chinese. Just pay attention to the next couple of sounds.
G is like the J in Jeep, but press your flat tongue tightly against the back of your upper teeth. 姐姐, 家人. Qi is like the CH in cheap, but again with a flatter tongue and a stronger puff of breath. 请,气球. She is like the SH in sheep. Again, you lay your tongue flatter and extend the two sides of your mouth wider. 小,新鲜.
Now you know all the sounds in Pinyin, a total of over 400 sounds. What an accomplishment! Congratulations! Now let's move on to another important but also challenging part in Chinese pronunciation, tones. Every syllable in Chinese pronunciation is stressed with one of the 4 different tones. The first tone is steady with a high pitch.
啊,
The second tone starts with a middle pitch, then rises quickly.
啊,
The third tone goes down from a low pitch, then rises to the middle of the pitch range.
啊,
The fourth tone falls sharply and quickly from a high pitch.
啊.
Besides the 4 stressed tones, there's a neutral tone. This is very light, weak, and short. Pay attention to the second syllables of the next examples.
爸爸, 椅子, 好吗?
Let's recap what we've learned by breaking down a word in Pinyin. The pronunciation for the famous city Shanghai is
上海,
the first syllable here is made of an initial
诗,
and a final
昂,
and a fourth falling tone.
上,
The second syllable is made of an initial
呵,
and a final
爱,
and a third falling then rising tone.
海, 上海.
Well done! Let's wrap up this lesson by recapping what we've learned. In this lesson, we introduced you to Pinyin, the romanization method to help you get started learning Chinese. We also covered some of the unique and difficult sounds of Chinese and introduced you to the 4 tones in Chinese. Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.